Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in on a Monday evening here on the Film Guy Network. I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. It is Monday, which means I've got a whole bunch of film observations to dump on you right here at the beginning. So I want to go ahead and knock out the business, okay? Follow us on social, okay? I'm at Brooks Austin BA. Everywhere you find your social media, you can follow us, or if you listen to podcast platforms, you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, however you find your podcast. Make sure you're subscribing over there, all that good stuff. Enough. We'll talk about Prize Picks in a minute. We'll also introduce a new sponsor and a new family member to you here in a little bit. But I want to get these film observations out of the way. Hey, that Devin Leary is bad. I told y'all that. I think it was one of our main priority messages over there on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. If you watch the defense of what to expect, if you watch the All-22 against what they did and put on tape against Kentucky, or Florida, you would have noticed there were some drastic inconsistencies with this lower half. We're going to talk about some things defensively in a little bit, but I think a lot of people have been talking about the start Georgia had on Saturday, and it was great. Don't get me wrong. Offense walked down the field, scored on their first possession. Defense got off the field really, really quickly, right? You did some good things in the first half, but I think a lot of that lack of momentum on the road for Kentucky had a lot to do with the fact that Devin Leary missed a wide open dude on a corner route about, second possession of the football game that would have been a 45-yard hitter and a major explosive for that football team. That story's a little bit different in the first quarter if they sustained drives. They were unable to do so, a lot due to what you can do, but a lot to do with the fact that the other guy, in my opinion, was relatively limited. And I thought based off how they played defense, they thought that as well. Now, let's talk about the Georgia side of the football, okay? Carson Beck is, I think the word now is elite. Okay, we've checked all the boxes. We've had all the questions get kind of answered here halfway through the season. But the real word, the word that we've been using on this network, okay, and the word that was used today in Kirby Smart's press conference, processor. That is the word we have been using over and over again to describe what it is that Carson Beck does at the quarterback position, right? And for the last few months now, I think even dating back to when we got back from the Elite 11, my evaluation of the quarterback position stopped or no longer revolved around, hey, are you a great thrower? Are you a great athlete? What's it look like when the ball comes out of your hand? All that good stuff. And it became more down to, can you process the information in front of you and can you come to the right decision over and over again, right? Can you see what's happening, okay, in front of you and come to the correct decision over and over again? Or in other words, as we've been talking about on this channel, do you have the answers, okay? And ladies and gentlemen, when we watch the tape week in, week out, Carson Beck has the answers. Okay, now, having the answers and executing the answers are two totally different discussions, okay? I think against Auburn, we missed a few of those answers, okay? The Oscar Delp streaker, right? In weeks past, you've missed a few of those answers, whether it be wide receivers dropping the ball on the other end or whether it be the quarterback missing by a hair. Whatever it is, okay, it's always been the correct answer and the right decision. May have not always resulted in the proper result. Nonetheless, the quarterback, through all of these weeks on film, we've noticed has all of the answers. To be honest with you, when I study him, I don't really know what it's going to require to get him off of rhythm, okay, and what it's going to require to get him to be unsettled. And I think the only answer that I have for that is pressure and man coverage. I think if you're going to stop Georgia this year on the offensive side of the football, you have to be able to get home first and foremost. You have to be able to get after the quarterback, and you have to be able to cover. I think the defense that has faced them and played them the best so far through 6 games, believe it or not, was South Carolina. And a lot of that was complimentary football. The offensive side of the football for South Carolina in the first half was doing a good job of maintaining possessions. But the other half of it was the fact that, hey, they could cover you guys for a portion of time, and they could get after the quarterback, right? I think that's the only multi-sack football game you guys have allowed this season, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that they tried to play some man coverage on you guys. But here's the thing, and when you study the football team over this and their roster decisions and their moves and what they've been doing, if you really study them and you really pay attention, I think they kind of foresought this as the defensive game plan to beat them this season. Follow me here. What did you do this offseason? Okay? You went out in the portal and you got the best man beater inside the slot that the SEC had available in Dominic Lovett. Okay, and I think through about 5 games, particularly the last 3 games, we've really seen what Ra Thomas can be as a man beater at the X position. He is a one-on-one winner. And if you've been over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin, we've been telling you about that all offseason, okay, or all camp leading up to this season. Hey, this guy's going to win his one-on-ones when he gets an opportunity to and when he fully gets comfortable. I think the decisions you made during the offseason directly impacted and were made to directly impact your deficiencies, or I should say where you're going to be attacked from your opposition, right? This football team, okay, is going to be and always will be a great third down team this year because of all of those reasons. So there you go. Oh, and by the way, I said man-to-man capabilities and pressure. Well, this dude's eating blitz packages apart right now. Zach Klein mentioned this today in the pressers, and it's actually an ESPN statistic. Carson Beck is the 3rd quarterback in over 10 years to have at least 4 touchdowns and complete 85% of his passes against the blitz this season. So I don't really know what you do to get him off of his, off of his game. I think it goes back to like all the years Tom Brady was at his high end of playing football. Everybody's like, well, you got to get pressure with 4. Well, if that's the final result, if that's the final answer of how we beat somebody, then that guy's not going to get beat a whole lot, because getting home with 4 when they got 5 or maybe 6 is really, really hard to do. So watching them through 6 weeks, I think Carson Beck is as elite as they come at the quarterback position this year, particularly as a processor. I think he's processing information at a higher rate than anybody in the country at this point. The other observation I have for you, I told you, go ahead and like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff, because we got them a load of these. Zone is a death sentence. Okay, if you're a defensive coordinator listening today and you are set to play Georgia this year, understand something. If you're going to sit back in zone coverage, they're going to pick you apart. Okay, the quarterback is too good at reading defense and collecting information. And by the way, the coordinator did a whole bunch of stuff this weekend to attack zone coverages. Okay, particularly cover 3. If you're a split safety cover 3 football team, Mike Bobo, Carson Beck, Todd Monken, Stetson Bennett, we're going to eat you alive. They're going to continue to eat you alive. Okay, they did it this past weekend against Kentucky that tried to live in a single high cover 3 shell. And you know who else they ate alive and scored 65 points again the last time they tried to be a cover 3 single high shell football team? TCU. They beat the brake drums off of that football team doing the same stuff or very similar stuff to what they did this past weekend. They are really, really good zone beating football teams, and I'm going to show you why right now. Here we go. Hey, man, only one place on the internet, at least in this Georgia space, I don't know about nobody else, only one place on the internet you can get this kind of stuff, okay? So make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, all that good stuff. This was the big 40, 50-yard ripper to Brock Bowers midway through, I think, the second quarter. Through second quarter.
Is that the one where he's wide ass open?
Correct. Yeah, and everybody's like, how in the hell is he that wide open? Well, I just told you. They are a cover 3 football team. I'm just going to draw the corners and the safeties for you guys. Okay, they were a corner or a cover 3 split safety football team, meaning they would split the safeties. They would rock one of them into the box and leave the other one responsible, okay, for the middle of the field. This corner had a deep third. This corner had a deep third. Now, if I am attacking cover 3, first of all, I'm probably going to live in duos like they did, right? I'm going to stay in 2x2. I'm going to put 2 guys on either side of the defense. But most importantly, when I'm playing a zone defense, I want to run multiple people. I want to flood one side of the field or one portion of the concept. Here we go. Right, like this right here. We're going to take Ladd McConkey and tell him, hey, push as far as we can, outside leverage, really attack that left shoulder, that corner, and push him vertically, carry him vertically as far as we can. Now, Brock Bowers, we're going to get you to arc release here at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to have you, hey, show a slant. I'm going to show face to my quarterback, all right, and as soon as I show face, I'm going to hit a bender right back into this. Now, what this does is it forces this corner, obviously, to take that guy all the way up the field, right? Now, the problem is, or the only guy that could really potentially ruin this play is this front side inside linebacker, right? If he's a really, really smart zone defender, okay, he's going to gain ground, try to reroute number 2, and if he sees him bending, he's going to continue to float and get up underneath that pass. Now, how are we going to occupy him, if you will? How are we going to take his eyes off of our guy and get rid of him? Well, I got your answer. We're going to take our cue and we're going to put our running back on the right, and as soon as the play snaps, we're going to swing him. We're going to swing the back, and what that's going to do is it's going to pull the linebacker's leverage towards the sideline and occupy his eyes to eventually float down here because he's got curl flat. Okay? So that's what it was, guys. How is he getting so open? Well, teams are, first of all, terrified to run man coverage against you because they can't cover you right now, okay? And they can't really play zone coverage against you because your offensive coordinator is just dotting them up left and right, okay? So for my Bobo, ladies and gentlemen, let's give him 3. How about that? How about that? How about that? Love a good concept of the day. We got 2 more of those in this segment alone for you boys and girls. Fire stuff here on this here channel. Let's talk about Micah Morris. Got a comparison for you. Micah Morris is to the guard position at the University of Georgia what Amarius Mims was last year at the tackle position for the University of Georgia. My man is so physically gifted that he makes this look very, very easy. He makes the sport look very, very easy. Now, there are drastic inconsistencies in his game. Okay, mostly due to inconsistent effort. Now, here's the good news for a football player that is immensely gifted. God gave him everything required to be a first-round draft pick at the guard position. Everything in the world required to be great at that spot. Okay, the good news about an inconsistent young football player like that really hasn't figured out how to click in all the time with his motor. The good news is he's seeing a lot more football and he's immensely gifted. So even if he's maybe operating at like 85% efficiency, at least he's getting to the right places and God got the rest. You know what I mean? As long as he gets his body in front of people, the rest is going to take over. And that's happening at a much higher rate. It may not look perfect. It's definitely not going to look perfect this year, okay? But it is consistently getting better, and that's noticeable on tape as well. I cannot believe this shit, but we're about to talk special teams, boys.
Hell yeah.
We're about to talk special teams because I saw, I don't know if this is new. Guys, have you been noticing they've been angling their field goal units?
I actually have. No.
How long have they been doing it? Because I just noticed it this week.
I don't know how long.
Is it a this season thing?
I feel like it was before. It's not since Rodrigo's been there.
Yeah, it's been like the last 18 months thing?
It's been the last few years, yeah. I don't know.
Maybe since Muschamp came back from South Carolina?
Maybe.
And became a special teams assistant. I don't know when it started. I noticed it because I don't stare a lot at special teams, but I got tagged in this on social media today. So I want to talk about it. Let's go ahead and put it on the board. Screw all this nonsensical talking. We're going back to the concept of the day. Y'all like the little hop, the little childish, boyish, girlish hop off the stage lip? I prefer it. Here we go. Ball, left hash mark. Okay. Y'all like my hash marks? You giggling at my hash marks? Don't be giggling at my hash marks.
It's a good job.
Okay, we got our goalpost right here. Okay. Hey, well, I mean, why y'all laughing at me?
Just keep going. Keep going.
All right, so ball's on the left hash right here, right? Okay, so what they've been doing is they've been taking Moat and they've been bending him at kind of like a cockeyed angle and then snapping the ball, okay, about 2 yards off the hash in this way. Now, I haven't noticed it as much, and I would imagine you don't want to do it as much from the right hash, this being the reason. If that snap misses this way, he's hitting the body of, if I miss right where I'm leaning, if I overcorrect the angle, I'm going to hit the snapper in the chest. If I'm leaning this way and I snap this ball too far to the left side of a right-footed kicker snapper, I'm going to snap it into a space, and we got a really, really bad situation going on. Okay, also, they usually over-pull this ball, right, and over-push this ball. Okay, so we want to help them out this way just a little bit, and on this side, it's not as privy to the situation as otherwise. So yeah, Georgia continuing to evolve even in the special teams unit. I asked Kirby about this today. Play it because I think this clip really. We've been talking on this channel for a while about finding examples of CEOs that show their obsessive traits. I believe every successful person in the world eats, sleeps, and breathes what they do. Okay, they think about it all the time. And when I listen to him talk about things like, hey, why are you putting the kicker and the snapper that way? You can find his weird intricacies about the game of football.
To follow up on the kicking, I think I noticed when the ball's on the left hash, the 32-yarder, y'all kind of angled the snap. And had y'all done that before? And if so, what went into the decision to kind of take that guy and put him off the left hash?
Well, we have rules that I don't really prefer to divulge, but that has not changed. So there's no change in our kicking rules. Every field goal team in America has a rule they have for whether they're on the hash, they move it, whether they go tackle over, they don't go tackle over. I mean, those are things that you get into geometry about of how your kicker kicks the ball. What's the flight path? How high does it get? Where's the block point? How hard do they rush? But we haven't changed ours since we've been here.
Right. So there you have it. Yeah, you hear him talk about whether or not we're tackle over, whether or not the block point is, where's the highest arc of the kick, like everything, down to the smallest hair on the horse's ass. Man's just all about every bit that he can get in terms of an advantage. This defense continues to stuff people between the tackles. I think, again, I know a lot of our film study used to we were allowed to take the coach's copy and put it out on YouTube for everybody to see. Also a bad business plan from yours truly, okay? I gave too many people too much free stuff. It's way too premium of content to be out there for free. We already give you 10 hours every day. But if you're one of these people that want to watch real, like in deep, like coach's copy film tape, okay, it's over there on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. I think we've done a really, really good job this year of showing just how physical and how well the interior of that defensive line has played. From 4-eye to Jack, they have done their job. Okay, those guys are occupying blocks as well as any defensive line that Georgia has had in years past, apart from maybe that 2021 unit, which, guys, if that's going to be the measuring stick the rest of the time, then yeah, let's just compare every offense the rest of the college football history to the 2019 LSU offense. Let's just do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if that's going to be the measuring stick, you're being irrational off rip. Okay, but from a gap-to-gap defense, they have been exceptionally good at run fits from tackle to tackle. Now, outside of tackle, well, guys, I just think they're going to give that up the rest of time in the way in which they've given it up, okay? You're not going to survive scoring against Georgia. You're not going to successfully score against Georgia over and over again unless you get short fields and turnovers just running outside the tackles. And what Georgia defense has become and what modern defense has become, modern great rushing defense has become, is a build-a-wall strategy. We are here to occupy every single gap, tackle to tackle, because the quickest way from where you are to the goal line is a straight line. And we're not going to allow you to go in a straight line. We're going to make you go east and west. Jay Will, I thought the head coach at the University of Georgia today described what I've been trying to describe as Georgia run defense for years now, and he did it in about 90 seconds, cut down to about 60 seconds today.
So everybody has a defensive philosophy on how they play football, and we don't like balls to run north-south. So if the ball's not running north-south, where's it running? East-west. If it's running east-west, where does it have to get to? The edge. So most of the runs we give up, by design, are on the edge, because we're not going to allow you to go north and south. And if you go north and south on us, we got bigger problems. If we can get it to go sideways, we tend to think that our speed runs it down. And that hasn't always been the case this year. Like, we have not done an awesome job at running things down that we make go inside out. Some of that's been by scheme, some of that's been by protecting the corners. I mean, we've had different runs get out for different reasons, but I'm not sitting here concerned about our edges, if that's what you're asking. We can definitely do a better job run fitting things.
We don't like balls going north and south, okay? And if they're not going north and south, where do they got to go? East and west. He did just like this. So eventually, here's how, this is the easiest way. This is layman's terms, okay? So when you're sitting at home, this is when you know you can complain, okay? If a running back runs into the offensive line and then bounces around the edge for a 7-yard gain, you're conceding that. You're giving that up, okay? Now, if it is an obvious design run to attack your edge and it gets there immediately and runs to grass for 10, 12 yards, Or in the case of the Auburn game, 61 yards, no, bad. Can't have happened. Someone did something wrong. But when you're sitting at home and it's Ray Davis going ding, 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 whoop, okay? We're conceding that. You are giving that up as a defense. That is not what you are designed to stop. What you are designed to stop is, holy smokes, look at that hole, bang your head on a goalpost. That hasn't happened to Georgia in quite some time, boys. Welcome in, by the way.
I mean, you think about any time, like if you're watching TV or watching football, what are people saying when people get the football? North and south, quit running east and west. So people are always trying to get north and south. That's what everybody wants you to do as a ball carrier. So, yeah, the natural instinct defensively would be, hey, let's stop them from going north and south.
Amen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's pretty simple when you break it down like that. There's not a whole lot of analyzing of, we're going to stop you from running up the middle. You have to run outside. If you run outside, great. Our linebackers did something wrong or we didn't set an edge properly. So
yeah, so it's funny when you just put a bit like basic like building blocks. Ready? We're going to recruit big physical front down players. Okay, everybody else speed, like just speed everywhere. And then defensively, we're going to take those 4 down players and we're going to occupy your 5 blockers. And we're not going to allow you to run in between those 5 players, okay? And then everywhere else, you're going to have to do what? You're going to have to bounce, okay? So guess what else takes care of that? Speed. Speed just runs to all of those angles. So they are designed to execute exactly the way they have been executed or executing this season. So I think, again, watch out for those numbers. Watch out for that analysis. It can be a little fugazi if people are like, oh, Georgia's not handling the line of scrimmage. Georgia's handling the line of scrimmage. You're just not watching everything you're supposed to be watching. Hey, welcome into tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you. We're going to talk about what was most surprising about Georgia's ass whipping on Saturday. Can Georgia get 2 players to New York for the Heisman ceremony? It's actually happened before. We're going to give you the recipe for success tonight. We got a missing persons report we're going to put out today. Injury updates for you as well. Carson Beck spoke to the media, and he gave us a little segment today. We're going to play a little new game called Out of 100 that Kirby brought up today, which I just think is just blasphemous information that he's out here spewing. So we made a segment out of it, and we are halfway through the season. So we're going to give out some midseason awards today, and we're going to play a little game of what could have been. It is an absolute jam-packed show tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I also want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Prize Picks. If you haven't already, run over to Prize Picks today, sign up, and use promo code Brooks. You'll get a 100% deposit match over there. So yeah, promo code Brooks, 100% deposit match. Put up to $100. They will match $100 as well. Give me a shout at camera 4 over there. I also want to give a shout out to our friends over at the Athletic Collection, okay? If you run over there today and you buy any piece of Georgia memorabilia like that Lad McConkey poster or that Brock Bowers poster that you saw on the film study today, it is NIL based, okay? So a portion of that money will go back to the athletes today. Again, that's the Athletic Collection. No promo code needed. They'll just take care of it for you. Just go over there and get you some posters. They are high quality, don't you think, boys? Look at them.
Yeah,
things.
they look great.
And I think they definitely added to y'all's space. Y'all's space was a little dark for me.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't like when you look at it through the camera, at least from our screen, it doesn't even look like it's a poster. It looks like we just like put it on the screen.
Looks like it's graphic.
Good quality.
Yeah, no doubt. And the one over there, the Brock one is elite as well. They got some Kendall Milton photos. They got Branson Robinson, I think some Marius Mims. They got a whole bunch of different folks over there. And I think they're trying to add some more in for the homies. It's just an NIL discussion that they got to handle and get processed over there. So it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, there you see it right there. That one looks absolutely filthy.
That is tough.
Maybe we can get the guys to sign them, and maybe we'll give them away. But some of that stuff's got to be retroactive after they play, unless I get Aaron to take care of it for me, because Aaron's the golden child. Despite the fact that Aaron is a media member, Aaron gets to do whatever Aaron wants. I guess that's what happens when you break records and set records.
Yeah, I mean.
And look that handsome. Is it because he's handsome, or is it because he's the breaking of records?
I mean, I'm sure being handsome probably helps, but
yeah.
When you break the SEC career passing record, I feel
That's
like
fair.
you get a little bit of special treatment.
You know, it was funny. I know we're off topic here. We got a lot to do, so sorry about it. But we were over at Creature Comfort Saturday, and I was helping him out with that TPL event. And I don't know if I just a little pat on the back moment for yours truly. It was just weird. It's Aaron Murray holding a microphone, and it's Tavares King sitting next to me. Luckily, Brandon Boykin and Rennie Curran were running late because it would have been really, really funny had it been, "Hi, I'm Aaron Murray, legendary quarterback, University of Georgia. This year's Tavares King, played 6 years in the league. That's Rennie Curran, one of the greatest linebackers in the University of Georgia, a school that puts them out like crazy. And that over there, Brandon Boykin, second-round draft pick, and that's Brooks Austin." Just real weird life that I've walked myself into.
That would be kind of funny though.
It was funny in general, just to watch the reactions of. I got a little pop, not even to lie to you. Got some, and that's Brooks Austin. He does a lot of film work. Hey, got a little claps. So
Nice,
hey,
man.
we're just trying to move up in the world. Let's get after it, man. We got a bunch of stuff going on. Where should we start? I think we should do these injury updates right quick. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins is going to be out of the boot next week, going to start some running. I don't expect to see him anytime soon. I think there's some serious conditioning that's got to get taken care of first.
Yeah.
We talking about foot injuries for 300-pounders, folks. Give it some time. Also plays a position that's relatively deep right now. Michael Williams, Tramel Walthour. Don't want to take any more injuries there, but it is relatively deep. Cedric's great. Obviously, Cedric came back into the game on Saturday after his little knee kerfuffle or injury, if you will. Amarius Mims is, quote, right where we need him to be. He, quote, has the same protocol as the other, quote, tightrope surgery guys. Was then followed up about a timeline. I think our boy Chip asked him this one. Just following up on the Amarius things. If Google serves me properly and if the Cash Jones timeline serves me properly, that timeline for Amarius should be after the bye week against Florida. I don't know. Kirby said every timeline is different. Every person is different. Even though he just told us, he's on the same timeline. So should be back by Florida is what it looks like they might be aiming for. Might be targeting or circling in pencil. Here's what I can tell you. He was out of a boot and off the scooter this weekend. He's load bearing. He's back walking on it without a brace as well. So he's out there, kind of just walking it on his own tightrope surgery. So get it? Walking on a tightrope. Also said that they are ordering a special boot, a special cleat, essentially, for him. This is not new. They ordered one for Andrew Thomas. It's an offensive lineman's cleat, essentially. And I've told you guys this. I am a firm believer that offensive linemen could play in a cast. I am a firm believer that if you just told me, hey, you got to kick slide 3 steps, you got to step down or block down 3 or 4 steps, maybe at worst 3 or 4 plays a game we ask you to run 12, 15 steps like full speed, yeah, I can do it in a cast. I might be able to do it in 2.
Cast on your foot?
Cast on my foot. I've done it. I've played with like 2.5 rolls of tape on both my feet just because my ankles were so shot. High ankle sprains and tightrope surgeries didn't exist when I was playing football. You couldn't just repair yourself and be back in 5 weeks. You kind of just got progressively worse throughout the season. So, yeah, if you go back and look at the tape, I think it was so one of the offensive linemen last week for – who did they play last week?
Auburn?
For Auburn. Auburn's right tackle had a fucking cast on his right foot, if you go back and look
we
at
talked
it.
about this.
He had a massive right ankle tape job on his foot. I'm a firm believer. If you really, really wanted to go, you could go. I don't care how bad your ankle is. But again, if you're a first-round draft pick, you sit your ass out until that thing is perfectly right. So, yeah. How about the injury updates? Any thoughts on that? I don't think it's that pressing.
Not really.
I guess that's good news for Amarius Mims. That's pretty much after the way the injury report looked a couple weeks ago to hear it that short and that promising now. That's some major steps forward. The
next question is, when's Roger Robinson going to get back from his ankle sprain? It doesn't sound like he was a candidate for tightrope, so he didn't go under the knife. So there's your injury update report for the day. Carson Beck spoke to the media today for the first time in a midweek situation. We get him every week after the game. This is the first time since camp that we've kind of talked to him in an extended period as a press conference. Lot to take away from it, but this is the one that I took away from it. Guys, before we play the clip, our win's a quarterback stat. Yes or no? You don't have the clip?
I have the one where
I sent it to the Dropbox, so if you want to download it, it's in there. But back to the discussion. Our win's a quarterback stat, Christian Kirby.
I don't want to be that guy, but I hate this argument.
Why?
Because it's so black and white. They try to make it. It's not like if your quarterback drives you down the field. He goes 35 for 45. He has 400 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, and you win the game on a last-second drive. Yeah, the quarterback won that game. If he goes 10 for 12 with 68 yards and you run the ball the entire game, no, the quarterback didn't win you the game. So, I mean, it's not like, yes, it is a stat. Are interceptions a quarterback stat?
Yeah,
They are, but at the same point, there's plenty of times where a quarterback has an interception and it's not his fault.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could make the argument that, yes, it's a quarterback stat. At the end of the day, they're categorized as one, but I don't think that's necessarily he's won this many games. When has he individually won those games for you, or has it been a team effort, which it almost always is?
So here's what I got it as. I think they are, and I think they aren't. Right? I think quarterback or wins are a quarterback stat, and I think they aren't. The job on like 80% of the plays is to facilitate. Like it's to take the, like we were talking about earlier, take the answer that is given, give the ball to the right teammate that is open, or give the ball to the right teammate that coach asked you to do. Don't worry about it. You hear me? Don't worry, it's all good. He said quarterback's the most important thing at the end of the day. I asked him about his expectations, okay? And he said, I don't have personal expectations when I go into a game. It's not about I'm trying to do this or my goal today is to do this. The goal is to win. And he said at the end of the day, that's the stat in the column that I think gets most overlooked is with regards to quarterback play is the wins column. And from his perspective with this football team, I'm in 100% agreement, okay? 80% of the time. But I think what the difference between the national narrative around Carson Beck the last couple of weeks is this last 20% I'm talking about. The last 20% of quarterback play is doing your part, okay? Making sure that we are elevating the offense, okay? Are you a game manager or are you a game changer? Are you a guy that can just take what is given and add on, or are you a guy that can just take what is given? I think what we've seen the last couple of weeks is not only is he that 80% of that quote-unquote game manager, he gets all the right answers, he checks out on the test every single time. He's managed to create as well. He's managed to, my running back ran right past the Mike linebacker that's blitzing right down the middle of A-gap. Okay, we'll take this one right off the chin. We'll just get that ball right to Ra Thomas. We'll extend the drive, right? We finally gave up some pressure. Quarterback pocket manipulation. I'm going to make somebody miss. Go pick up a first down with my legs, right? We've seen these things from Carson over and over again. And I think he's gone about doing the things that, he deserves a portion of that win, right? It is a bit of a quarterback stat. But I'm with you. If we're talking about giving Carson or Stetson Bennett a win in the win column for the 37-6 drumming of Arkansas in 2021, I think we're going a little far, right? I don't think that's a quarterback win.
It's the same reason why wins and losses for a pitcher are overrated in baseball, because there's so many other factors that come into play, especially because like a pitcher can pitch 6 flawless innings. It can be 2-0, but then another guy can come in and blow the lead, and all of a sudden he no longer gets his win. But he did everything he needed to win. And I think you see that a lot. Like Justin Herbert is someone I think of for this. Like many would consider him a top 6 quarterback in the NFL right now, but his teammate isn't exactly doing a whole lot of winning, but it isn't exactly his fault either. So I have an issue saying that wins are a quarterback stat, and I think it only is a stat when it pushes the narrative that you want it to.
Yeah, I was going to go on the other side. I think I can point to a couple of teams that are losing because of quarterback play, but not very often. I tweeted about this the other day. I think the more and more I study the position, particularly with a guy like Carson, like, man, the success of the position is so dependent upon the other 10 guys winning. You know what I mean? The other 10 guys doing their job, that sometimes it's way too much credit and way too much blame. I wouldn't even say sometimes. I would say all the time. I would say 99.9% of the time, unless you listen to it. And again, I know why what we do on Mondays with the film is so vital. Okay, because I talk to y'all. I do. I talk to the people that listen to this channel. I read our Discord, okay, on Saturdays when things might not be going perfect, okay? And I see how educated you guys are, okay? And I see how smart you are in your conversations on social, where you're far more advanced because you understand that football, particularly at the quarterback position, is far more about whether or not the other 10 guys are winning and doing their job, and can that 11th guy be the last exclamation point on the offensive execution. And I think that, to me, kind of is the main portion of the discussion, not, all right, did they win, and did they win because of the quarterback? Again, I think you're right. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I think that's a cop-out of an answer, but it's the right answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I hate that argument, because doing that makes it seem like you're being wishy-washy, when in reality, it's not a yes or no question.
Boys, can they do it? Can Georgia send 2 guys to New York?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
How do they do it? How do they get it done?
So I pulled a couple of numbers. I took Jay.
What are they?
Coming after my job?
Sorry, Jay.
We didn't talk about this segment. I think we should explain to the audience that it's only been done a handful of times, and the most recent one, let's lay that out
Yeah,
first.
go ahead.
Okay, so here's what happened. Okay, so the most recent football team to send 2 people to the Heisman Trophy ceremony was the 2020 Alabama Crimson Tide. Okay, so let's just compare these guys, Carson Beck and Brock Bowers, to those guys. Let's just see how they're stacking up through 6 football games. Okay, in 2020, Devontae Smith and Mac Jones in 13 games. That's what we're talking about. Mac Jones in 13 games that year had 3,700 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Okay, Devontae Smith through 13 games that year when he won the Heisman had 1,500 yards and 18 total touchdowns that season. So my question to you, I know absurd, right? 1,500 yards. 1,500 yards through 13 games is stupid.
That's wild.
What are these 2 guys from Georgia on pace to do with regards to those 2 guys in stack-ups?
All right, so I pulled the numbers on it. Carson Beck right now currently has the 13th best odds to win the Heisman.
Okay.
He's on pace to have 4,086 by the end of the SEC championship game.
In 13 games, so he would 300 yards more than Mac Jones.
Yes, and 11 more yards than Caleb Williams had that time last season.
Elite. How many touchdowns?
He's on pace for, I believe, 24 touchdowns.
24 total, I think.
Okay, so there's the deficiency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the deficiency
Okay.
is. But that's also
Yeah.
that's one of those things.
That's
where it's
subject to change.
Definitely we need
Yeah.
a couple more like 4 touchdown
Yeah,
performances.
definitely need more performances like you had the Saturday night.
So moving on to Brock Bowers. Brock
Correct.
Bowers has the 9th best odds currently. That's the highest out of any non-QB. He's currently on pace to have 1,180 yards this season, which would break the Georgia single-season record. He would be the first person to have a 1,000-yard season since Terrence Edwards. Here's a list of players that are currently ahead of both of them: Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jordan Travis, Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix.
These are for odds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the odds all of those guys are undefeated after 13 games?
0.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, Georgia, on the other hand, they should be 13-0 at that point. So basing it off of the fact that Georgia's going to have the number 1 team in the country, they'll be the winningest team in the country, and they'll have 2 of the most productive players in the country, the best tight end in the nation easily, arguably best tight end ever, combined with a 4,000-yard passer who still has to play 2 playoff games. How do you make the argument that they're not both in New York?
So here's how I'll make the argument that this is the year that Georgia finally wins a Heisman again. If there's anything Georgia voters voters nationally don't have fatigue about, it's Georgia players individually. Voters definitely have some fatigue about Georgia football. You know what I mean? With regards to voting for Georgia to be the number 1 team or talking about Georgia being the number 1 team, there is definitely some, all right, enough of this. But there's not enough, or there hasn't been enough storylines for Georgia from an individual's perspective. And I think this kind of tracks with Alabama's narrative as well. Mark Ingram won the Heisman during his time, and they won their first title with Mark Ingram, right, at the running back. So that doesn't really track accurately.
What were you going to say, though?
I was going to say that, like, Alabama didn't start winning Heismans until a couple of years into the regime, but that's not true.
No.
That Georgia is unique in the sense that they have been very team-oriented, apart from last year where I honestly, this is going to sound bad, Stetson kind of got the just because you're at Georgia vote last year, didn't he? Just because Georgia's the best team in the country vote?
I think it was that, and I think every big game he performed very well in. He performed really well against Tennessee.
He was very, very trendy.
Yeah, he performed. He put up 50 in the SEC championship. I think that's what got him over. The 50 points in the SEC championship game was when people really went, okay, he's actually a really good quarterback. So
at this rate, Beck's going to outthrow Mac Jones, who that year was on pace to do some crazy-ass shit, right? Or it seemed like he was doing record-breaking performances. And he played in a condensed season, but we did the 13 games. He was on pace to throw for more yardage, I think, in a 15-game season that Burrow played.
Yeah, I think he was on pace for that.
Okay, so they were putting it up that year, and you guys are throwing for more yardage right now at the University of Georgia. Now, the discrepancies, the 390, that's almost 400 yards that Bowers is short on Devontae Smith. It's tight end, right? That's what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And he's noticeably better than everybody else.
Yeah.
I think that's the key to winning the Heisman. Like, you don't only have to do, like, outrageous shit statistically. We have to go into football games every single time going, how in the hell are they going to stop this guy?
Right.
You know what I mean? And he has certainly become that and remained that.
That's exactly what Aiden Hutchinson had at Michigan. Is like when he was on the defensive side of the football, everybody was like, how the heck are you going to stop Aiden Hutchinson? Because he looked like the best player on the football field every single time he was out there.
And the Heisman's also, this is what makes it kind of shitty and why people don't really like the Heisman voters, but it's also moment-oriented. It's what have you done recently?
Yeah.
Brock Bowers pretty much taking the game over against Auburn. Things like that gets you Heisman attention. Whereas like a game like Caleb Williams had where, he put up pretty good numbers last week, but Arizona barely won. You barely beat Arizona. So it's not as good of a look. You don't have this, quote, the Heisman moment. That's why every year someone goes, oh, he had his Heisman moment. That was it.
I think the good news, though, for Bowers and Carson Beck in this conversation is that if one of them's playing well, it probably means that the other is playing well as well. So they're collectively going to continue to have success if they continue this rate. So they're going to continue to be in the conversation together if they both remain on this pace.
So I'm just sitting here writing them down. Penix, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix. You can only choose one of those, right?
Yeah, you can only get one.
One of those guys out of the Pac-12 is going to be the guy in New York, right? So let's just circle one Pac-12 guy. Jordan Travis down at Florida State.
I mean,
But he's not even putting, is he putting up numbers like that?
No, not really.
I don't feel like he's doing it like that.
no, he has
He's doing it like 250 with some fade balls.
He's got the fourth best odds. Not fourth best odds, but he's currently ranked fourth on ESPN.
So you got the odds pulled up, right?
No.
Or you had them on your notes somewhere?
I can pull them up real quick.
Do that. I'm just trying to figure out who the other options are.
Quinn Ewers or Dylan Gabriel right
Quinn
now.
Ewers right there and Dylan Gabriel. They're going to eat one another.
Yeah.
Right? So Quinn and Dylan, right? So you
Dylan
got
already
somebody out of the
dropped
Pac-12, somebody out of the Big 12, the Georgia guys. Who else we got? Who in the Big 10 is out here doing it like that? Nobody.
J.J. McCarthy's on there.
J.J. McCarthy's going to throw for 3,200 yards this year. It's a whole bunch of
So do you want me to go ahead and read you the from the start?
I think I
first?
read today that Michigan has the fewest offensive possessions compared to points in the country.
Wow.
They're not doing it like that, guys. Michigan's out here dominating, scoring every possession, just beating the shit out of people. Okay, so the moment they get squeezed, like they've been getting squeezed in big games in the last couple of years, we're gonna see. They're gonna finally have to ask J.J. McCarthy to be something.
So your first three.
He is, by the way. He is something.
Your first three best odds: Michael Penix, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix. We said two of those are already out.
Already out.
So then you have Dylan Gabriel, Jordan Travis, Drake May.
So Drake May and Jordan Travis are options.
Yes.
So Drake May's in there as well.
Yes.
So he's a real competitor there.
Yeah. Then it goes.
And I think Travis and Drake may eat each other. Because someone's got to win the ACC.
Yeah.
Well, they'll have to play eventually in the ACC. I don't think UNC.
I don't think they
go undefeated. I think they could make it to the ACC championship. I don't think they'll make it undefeated. I don't think they'll beat Florida State when they
a
get.
10-2 team from North
I feel like that
Carolina.
UNC squad is due for like just a stinker one day.
I think Drake May might be the best bet here.
He's on mine.
I think Drake May might be the best bet here because they don't have to go undefeated. If he does stupid shit down the stretch, like 3 or 4 400-yard games,
Yeah.
if Drake May has 3 or 4 400-yard games and they go 10-2, don't play it on. That would be the herder. If they don't play in the ACC championship game and don't play on that weekend.
So then after Drake May, it's J.J. McCarthy and Quinn Ewers. Then you have Brock Bowers. And then it's just a bunch of random.
Guys, Brock Bowers might win the Heisman. That's crazy.
Don't say it. Don't say it because you
I'm just saying it might happen. Now, we're going to skip midseason awards. We're going to get to them tomorrow because I want to talk about these gimme threes from Saturday. I want to talk about these missing haters. We can just get this out the way. Be honest right now in the chat and in the comments if you are watching this right now. If you had skepticism about Mike Bobo being the hire as the offensive coordinator, just go ahead and out yourself now, okay? And just be a man about it or be a woman about it. Be an adult about the situation, okay? And just be like, look, I was wrong, all right? Because you know who wasn't wrong? This guy. This guy was not wrong. We was ready for this. We talked about it the whole time. The whole discussion was we don't get it. We don't understand the hatred. That's what we talked about on this network. And honestly, your head coach expected a smooth-ass transition as well. Do we have this clip? I know you got this one for me. Here, let's play this for him.
Yeah, Coach, halfway through the season, your quarterback's fourth in passing. You're averaging 40 points per game. I'm just curious, has the transition from Coach Monken and Stetson to Bobo and Beck been as smooth as even you thought it would be this offseason?
Yeah, and I made a quick decision there because I was really confident, and we had the luxury of having a quarterback coming back that really wasn't your typical first-time starter. And when you have a guy that's been in the system as long as he has, I felt comfortable that he knew the system. I wanted to keep the system the same, and those guys have transitioned well together.
Bro, we really had one media member comparing Carson Beck to Hudson Mason.
We really did.
We really did on the Twitter timeline.
Not even just Hudson Mason, a few other notorious
Duds.
Georgia quarterbacks.
Notorious, just not great guys at the quarterback position. And this man, 4th in the country in passing. That's crazy. No, you heard Kirby say it. They knew. That was the exposure to me today. That all and we knew too.
Yeah.
We knew Carson Beck was the guy the whole time. We were like, guys, Carson Beck's the dude. Stop talking about this idea of a quarterback competition. But some people out here bit the bait. They were out here like entertaining this idea that somebody other than Carson Beck was going to be the starting quarterback this year. And that quote right there, that quote in today's press conference, listening to him talk about how it was an easy decision. How many quarterbacks get a chance to spend 3 or 4 years in the same system? Nobody, none. So why was Mike Bobo the selection? Transition was smooth. Quarterback needed to stay in the same system for 3 or 4 years. They made that decision in January. And they made the decision that Carson Beck was the starting quarterback in January.
They probably made it in January of 2022.
You think so?
Yeah, when Stetson came back all right, we're going to have Stetson for 1 more year, and then Carson's going to be the guy after that.
So I guess the transition of this discussion is we just need to do a weekly update of, is Carson a one and done? Is Carson a one and done? This week, after this week's performance, maybe a one and done?
If he goes to New York, I think he's absolutely one and done.
Yeah, I mean, if he continues to be top 5 in the nation in passing yards, he continues to get love in the Heisman, he wins an SEC championship, and he goes to the college football playoff, it's going to be hard for NFL GMs to look at that and say, man, I don't want to take a bet on that.
Especially when they see him throw it. And all of them have. They saw him throw it when he was a sophomore.
Yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
George Pickens asked him to throw a pro day. And he threw lasers. He threw lasers, bro. And he's got one of those arms. You watch some of the clips that have come out from him from 6 Points Jacks when he's throwing an NFL ball. Jesus, man. Guy can rip it, brother. I think there is an option. There's an opportunity potentially for him to come out this year, but it is a really, really deep class. So I don't think it's anything you need to worry about right now. I don't think it's anything that needs to be a talking point right now, but eventually we'll have to make a talking point about it. Do we want to? We are at 52 minutes. Let's give them 3 right quick. 3 things that surprised you most about this weekend. I will go first. 1, everything Mike Bobo did. Okay, I study this team a ton. You all know this. They continue to do new things. And for a football team that I've studied for 3.5, 4 years, and for an offense that we've been told hasn't changed, okay, didn't do much differently, they continue to do new things every single weekend. He added a fake bubble tunnel in this week that we saw. It wasn't his play. I saw Oregon do it 2 weeks prior against Colorado. He had the QB sneak, the fake QB sneak that he added in. That was a brand new play. Hadn't seen that. Hadn't seen that tight end leak he ran on 3rd and 1. The big explosive to Brock Bowers down the middle of the field midway through the first quarter. Guys, that was a one-man route. He came back to a very similar tight end pop pass down on the goal line. We've seen that obviously in years past, but it was a tremendous call when he called it. The motions that my man's has used over the last couple of weeks to get Brock Bowers open. We showed you that in film study today. Even little simple stuff like just taking a little tear motion when you're in nub set, right? No, we don't have time, right? We got one tight end over there by himself, and we got a running back right behind him. Well, we're going to release the running back in a pre-snap motion just to make that linebacker responsible. Just bump a little bit, and then we're going to run Brock Bowers on a little hook. How did he get so open? Well, it's pre-snap motion. We're just using different ways. The touchdown on Brock Bowers, they ran cheat motion. They took Arian Smith, ran him horizontally, and then attacked the line of scrimmage as the ball was snapped, and did so and snapped the ball right as he interfaced and crossed behind Brock Bowers. Those little things, That's what creates such voids running down the middle of the field. Everything Bobo did Saturday surprised me and obviously surprised Kentucky's defense. This offensive line's response kind of surprised me. It was clear to me they took it very, very personally. And that Kentucky unit doesn't really get pushed around ever. And you guys pushed them around on Saturday. And the biggest surprise on Saturday, I don't know whether or not Kirby Smart has a fascination with scoring 50 points or whether or not he just don't like Mark Stoops or whether or not he just wanted Brock Vandagriff to get a touchdown pass. But watching a Georgia football team go for it on 4th and goal from the 5, up 44-13, staggering, shocking, take your breath away moment for me because normally we get a tremendous amount of respect in those moments, and that was a tremendous amount of ass whooping is what that was. So I give him 3. What do y'all got? First of all, thoughts. Running the score up a little bit. A little weird.
Yeah.
Outside of his characteristics.
I don't know if you consider it running the score as much as it is you're trying to get Brock Vandagriff as many real in-game live reps as you can.
He does need red zone reps. This is true.
And a little bit of this is what you get for 2021.
You think he's salty about that 21 play
I don't
drop?
think he's spiteful. I don't think so.
Mans was calling timeouts to
I
run
wouldn't
goal
put it
line
above
runs.
Kirby. I think he can be a little petty sometimes. I wouldn't put him above him. Mine, just how easy they made it look. This Kentucky-Georgia game has never looked like this, at least for the last 4 years. 2021 was a little bit like that. But even then, like this is usually, like we always say, very physical football game, kind of grind it out. May not be the prettiest win, but if you get a win in this football game, just take the dub and move on. How often Georgia was in the backfield. That's another one that surprised me because this Kentucky offensive line has not allowed much of that this season so far. They had 4 tackles for loss and 3 sacks. That definitely surprised me. And Terrence Edwards has been kind of previewing this all year, but Marcus Rasimi-Jackson, or Rojack, surprised me on Saturday. Big game for him, and that's just something good to see because it seems like it's kind of been in the fold for him. It seems like it's kind of been on the cusp, but finally see him break out. That was a surprise.
That boy Jay will. Give him 3. What do you got, Curb?
So the first one I was surprised by was the offensive efficiency to open the game. 6 drives, 6 scores. That's about as perfect a start as you can want if you're a Georgia fan. Second one that surprised me, how much Kentucky threw the ball. I figured their game plan would be to come in and just run at Jordan. It seemed like they tried to throw the ball a lot more. They almost had success with it if they had a half-decent quarterback, but that was something that surprised me. And then the third thing that surprised me kind of, and I feel like I should have known better of this, but the Kentucky fan base was almost immediately, like after Rojack caught that ball, like, oh, yeah, this is an ass whipping. And that, like they literally like were out of it so quickly.
I passed 3. Is that the third one? Let's go ahead and give him
3.
I give him 3. I passed 3 Kentucky fans at like 10 o'clock Saturday morning. And I'm walking by. I said, I'm wearing blue. I had my like navy blue outfit, not Kentucky blue, but it was like navy blue. I had navy blue J's on, all kinds of stuff. And very neutral colored. And I walked by them and I said, how we feeling today, fellas? And they looked at me and go,
Yeah.
eh.
Yeah, no,
It's about the way it was.
I was talking to someone after the game, and I was like, did you expect that to happen? They were like, well, we didn't think we would win, honestly. But, no, it was more surprising that we got beat that bad. But, that's what happens when we play Georgia. We can never beat y'all.
Opposing fan bases love doing that one right there. They're like, oh, we didn't expect to win, but they want to talk a whole lot of shit.
That was the thing. I was talking to Kentucky fans before the fact, and they were also like, hopefully we can get one. We've never been to the SEC. Like, they were very hopeful. And then
here's what I maybe found out about Kentucky fans. The ones traveling and showing up to the games, relatively reasonable about the expectations of their football teams. The ones on the social medias, not so much.
Well, that's the thing. Even the people on the social medias, because like everyone does the receipt things. They're like, oh, you want to take this back? And they're like, yeah, you guys actually kicked our ass. Good job. Like everyone was like commenting like that, like immediately like taking. They weren't
I guess
like
holler at them during hoops season. We'll see if they're as rational.
Yeah, it'll be different.
Yeah.
It's definitely a basketball school.
Absolutely. Hey, I love this one. Now, this stems from our boy Kirby getting a little lippy in pre-show.
What?
Bro, you acted like you going to dominate this little pre-fake game we got coming up, and I just think you're wrong, and that's why we're going to talk about
Dominate?
this. Dude, I think your percentage of 23% is higher than any answer we're going to get tonight.
It's higher than that.
What did he say, 32?
32 or 35.
All right, so here's the game. It's called out of 100. All right, how many times out of 100 could you insert answer? We're going to play this over and over again throughout the season, not a ton, but when we have somebody say some stuff like this. How many times out of 100 Injuries and stamina out of the question and out of the conversation. How many times out of 100 could you tackle Brock Bowers in open space? Here's the situation. You got 2 offensive players. You got 2 defensive players. They've blocked. You've got to run over the both of them, okay, and go tackle Brock Bowers. Now, we presented this to Kirby, and Kirby's answer is what? How many times?
My final answer is 25 to 30.
20,
out of
no,
100.
final answer. Give me a number.
27.
27. 27% of the time Kirby thinks he can tackle Brock Bowers. Now, I want to know everybody's answer on this because I'm going to say personally maybe 6.
I was gonna say like maybe 5.
Maybe 6. But the problem is I don't think if he just ran to the angle every single time, I'm not catching it. That's the problem.
How deep is this drill? Is it 10 yards? Is it 5 yards? Is it?
I mean, shit, he catches the ball at the hash. He's got from the hash to the sideline, 23 and a half yards, okay? Hash to the sideline, how many times?
20.
I don't
Factor
even
in the
think it's that
fact you're going to say the offensive line blocks every time perfectly?
many. No, just it's space defenders, by the way. It's like y'all running 2 over 2. Okay, it's like modern Oklahoma drill.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're going to at least 10 times the D-line's breaking through that. So then you're gang tackling at that point. One-on-one, I'm getting crushed. That's not my argument here. Obviously, one-on-one, I'm getting demolished by Brock Bowers. I'm saying if we ran 100 Oklahoma drills the way you're saying, 20 times we would stop him.
Nah. I set the drill up to where it's you guys in space.
If it's like that shit you did when you were a youth, where it's like you lay
Yeah.
your heads back together and you spin, run around the cone, I'm
Yeah.
dying every time. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you have 2 D linemen lined up against 2 offensive linemen, they're going to be able to get washes, and sometimes he's going to get caught up in holes.
What do you got?
I'm just diving for shoelaces every time.
Yeah, it's
I'm
not
not.
happening.
I'm not even messing around with the quads.
It's
I'm
not
not messing around with the core section or none of that. I'm strictly diving after shoelaces.
I'm telling you right now, it's not happening. Neither one of you. But it's a good idea. I think you have a better chance of getting a sack off of Amarius Mims out of 100 times than you do tackling.
See,
Brock
I don't
Bowers.
agree with that at all.
You could speed rush him. You could get him just once. Maybe give him a little juke.
I'm
I
getting
don't
one
Hey,
good bend.
the little
one time.
jittery.
I don't
I don't
agree
know
with
about
that at
you.
all.
I think you
Damn.
might be able to give him a little sauce. No, it's the rapid acceleration in one-on-ones because one-on-ones are a tough thing to win as an offensive lineman. They're designed for defensive linemen to win because you're out there playing in space and you don't have your left guard to the left of you. You know what I mean? It's designed for jitterbugs to win.
You kind of shut me down there real quick.
I feel like if Amarius Mims got a hand on me, it would not be very well.
No, probably wouldn't go well.
That's what I'm saying. So I would say tackling
You
Brock.
think this is insane? You think you have a better chance of tackling Brock Bowers than you do beating Amarius Mims in a one-on-one rush?
Yes.
I don't know. It's a good little game. It's a good little toss-up. Hey, do we have anything else we need to make sure? I want to give one more shout-out to the Athletic Collection. Those freaking posters are dope. Give me one more shot of that Lad McConkey one. We don't have to worry about the Brock Bowers one. That's the Athletic Collection. The link is in the bio and description of this YouTube video. We do have a whole entire another hour coming up right here on the channel. Make sure you're sticking around and make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button on your way out. I love you.